Hey YouTube! It's been 2 years since I built this chicken tractor, and I was just getting ready to do some big upgrades on it. But before I do those upgrades, I wanted to take a few minutes, shoot a video talking about how it's been working for me over the last 2 years. Also show some of the pros and cons of it. I've had to make a few small changes to it in 2 years, so I'll show those. I've also been getting a lot of feedback and questions on YouTube, which I really appreciate, so I'm going to take a few minutes and answer the 5 most common questions I've been getting. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to show you just a little sneak peek of the upgrades that I'm going to be doing to it. So stick around. Okay, before I get started, a few things. If you haven't seen the first video I made 2 years ago that details what this chicken tractor is and why it's different than most other chicken tractors, click on the link up here in the corner. It will bring you to that video. It's a good place to start. It gives a lot of details about, what's different about this, shows the food system, the water system, the electric motors that I used, those kinds of things. Also, if you haven't seen the build videos, I made 3 build videos that gives further detail about exactly how I put it together, where I got a lot of my parts, things like that. So up here in the corner is the link to video 1, and then hopefully you enjoy that. You can watch videos 2 and 3. If you don't want to listen to me ramble on about how this thing's worked out for me over the last 2 years, there's going to be some timestamps here somewhere on the screen that'll show you where you can jump ahead to the frequently asked questions, and also if you want to see the sneak peek of the changes that are coming. Alright, now I'm going to take you off the tripod and I'll walk around this and show you how it's worked out. I've found that I can use this chicken tractor from usually late March through December. In the spring, the start date depends on whenever the ground dries out after the snow thaw, so usually late March, early April. And then in the winter, fall-winter time, it is just dependent on whenever the first snowstorm is going to be. I did contemplate the idea of coming up with a covering to make it so that this thing could be a year-round chicken coop and just have it parked in one place for the winter. But I have another coop they can go in that's set up with a little greenhouse and everything, so I don't need that. It would be a good idea for anybody else who might be considering building one of these, though. Alright, a few upgrades I had to make since the original construction. My front caster wheels have been upgraded. I had little 4-inch ones on there that I salvaged off of the electric wheelchairs, and they kept getting stuck in every little bump in the ground. So I upgraded to these ones. They're 8-inch. They are solid core. I got them from Harbor Freight, and I just had to mount a larger board to put them on, and that solved that problem. They've worked well. Next problem I had to solve was these water cups. The original ones I had on there were cheap ones that I got off of Amazon, and they didn't work at all. I'm gonna guess they were straight from China, and the chickens would peck in there and no water would come out. So I really quickly, after just a few days of using this, had to buy these. These were from, I don't remember which retailer, but an online farm store retailer, and I just searched around until I found some that had good reviews, and these ones have worked much better. The chickens have no problems with those. Coming around to this door, this is where the water and the laying nesting boxes are. There's 2 nesting boxes. I don't think I really need 2 nesting boxes in hindsight. They just use 1, but it's not bad to have an extra. And the water tank, the water pump, the hose system, all that's worked flawlessly. I can hold 3 or 4 weeks worth of water in there. It keeps it clean. It's easy to fill up. A few people have mentioned online the idea of, just use a funnel to fill it. Well, you can't get a funnel on this tank. I would love if there was an easy way to just use a funnel, but for a tank like this that has horizontal fill pipes and is a long horizontal tank, a funnel's not going to work. You could get some sort of a funnel that's like a hose that comes out and bends up, but then I would have to be holding the funnel and pouring a 5-gallon bucket. I personally think this is the better way to do it, easier way to do it, so I'm sticking with my method. Alright, coming around to the back, the solar panel has worked perfectly, no issues there, keeps everything nice and charged. A few people have mentioned the idea of putting an electric fence around this for extra predator protection. I think that's a great idea. I've definitely considered doing it, which I'll actually talk about more at the end of this video. I think this solar panel would be plenty to handle that. I would just personally need to upgrade my battery. My used battery is pretty weak, so I don't think it would handle an electric fence. Alright, inside here, no major changes. It's all exactly as it was. I have been using this door, letting them out every morning, closing them in every night, just for the predator protection there. The only issue back here is all of these magnetic switches, which there's one on all 3 doors. Here's the other side of it there. All of them failed, so I just disconnected them. The lights I think are a good idea, and I I liked when they worked, but those switches need to get changed out, and I have not done that yet. Oh, I forgot one thing back here. One of the design flaws on this is that right here, even when, you'll see here, I've been using screws to tighten this piece up, even when it's tightened up, there's still a gap here, and it lets all the shavings and droppings fall down in where the electronics are, which is definitely not ideal. So one of the things I'm going to do on my upgrades is come up with some better way to close this in and make that problem go away. Close that up. Over on this side, we have the food and the electrical solar stuff. So over there you see the charge controller flashing away at the top, and down there we've got about 13.38 volts in the battery, which is perfect. The food goes in there, can hold an entire bag of grain, and that lasts me usually 5 or maybe even 6 weeks. A couple of questions online have asked if I've had any problems with mice or squirrels getting into this space, and I have not. I built this whole area here really tight. There's no gaps anywhere in there. I don't think there's any way a critter could get into that, but I do get a lot of spiders in there. But I'm alright with that. Not a big deal. Finishing the walk around on this side, that's where they get their food from, and this has worked out perfectly. The bucket idea keeps that grain dry. Even one of the winters I forgot to empty out the extra grain that was in the bottom. I usually take a shop vac and clean that out, and I forgot to do it, and I came back in the spring and all of the grain was still dry and looked perfect. So the bucket works really well, and the whole PVC setup just to gravity feed the food works well too. So I'm very happy with that. The only other upgrade that I've thought about making, but I'm not planning on making it right away, is I wish I had put something for an easier way to drain the water out of this whole water system in the wintertime when I'm about to put this thing away for the winter. Right now I have to crawl into this entire space here and unscrew that cup to let the water drain out, and that's kind of a pain. It would be nice if I come up with something. I already have to open up this bottom door to get the battery out, so it'd be nice if I had made some sort of like a quick valve or something to open it up and let the water drain out. But like I said, it's not that big of a deal, so I'm going to leave it as it is for now. Alright, let me get you back on the tripod, and I'm going to talk about the frequently asked questions on this. Alright, so I've got here on my phone the 6 most asked questions, putting in a bonus answer because when I went through all the YouTube comments, there were 6 questions that kept coming up. So here we go. Number 6. Did I make a build video? Yes, I did. I don't know why YouTube is not showing it to you guys that I made it or giving it as a recommendation, but here you go. Up here at the top, somewhere up there, is a link to video number 1. Click on that, and then hopefully YouTube will show you can watch numbers 2 and numbers 3. Hopefully that helps you. Do I have, question number 5, do I have plans so that you could follow my plans and build one of these yourself? I do not have plans. I don't have any experience drawing up plans or coming up with 3D models of this or anything like that, so it didn't even cross my mind that maybe I should actually have written down plans. The only thing I thought about was making the build videos, and hopefully that gives people enough information, so that's what you'll have to use if you want to build one. I will say, however, sneak peek of future videos, I'm building another version of this. I've kind of come to the realization that although this is a great chicken tractor and it works very well for me, it's hard to build. It's pretty complex, as I'm sure most of you would agree, and it's pretty expensive. So I'm trying to come up with a new version that is cheaper to build, easier to build, and I'm also going to do a better job documenting it with video plans, pictures, and written plans on it, and make that available so that hopefully it will help more people build something like this. The next question is, this one I find funny, does it turn? I got that question a few times and it had me scratching my head, so I went back and watched the first video, and you're right, sure enough, I never mentioned or showed in that first video that yes, it does turn. In the build videos I went into detail about how it turns and showed some clips of it turning when I was testing it. So yes, it does turn. It uses what it calls tank steering, and that means that, you know, it's kind of like a zero turn mower. So if I tell the remote control to go left, the left tires will turn forwards and the right tires will turn backwards, and so it will actually just turn in a circle and stay put, so it turns very well. In the springtime, I use it around my fruit trees. I'll drive it around and move them throughout the weeks around my fruit trees so they can scratch up and get any bugs. I can't do that all year long because that part of my yard's very hot and sunny in the summer, so they kind of come back towards the woods in the summertime. Next question, how much did it cost? So again, the cost question. I don't know. I didn't document the parts I bought and everything, but I'm going to guess I spent about $1,000 on building this. The majority of that was the solar panel and solar charger. That was like a whole kit, and the remote control and the various components to make the remote control work were the two most expensive pieces. Keep in mind, I found electric wheelchairs for free. I had some lumber. I salvaged pieces from other things like wiring and connectors and stuff as I could. I already had all the tools I needed, so I didn't have to buy anything extra for that. So for the average person who had to go out and buy everything brand new, I'm going to guess you'd be somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,500 to $3,000 to buy everything here and build it exactly like I've got it. All right, next question. Do you have a problem with predators? I do not. I know that there are foxes and coyotes in the area. I'm going to put some pictures here on the screen. Those were taken from my neighbor's yard about 300 feet behind me. There was a fox family that moved in this spring and had 6 kits, and there was also a coyote that came around a few times. So I know they're in the area, and they have not bothered this at all. I come out every night and close the chickens in so they can't get at them throughout the night. But like I said, I haven't had any problems. If you lived in an area where you're a little bit more remote out in the woods, I could see it being a bigger issue. This is usually very close to my house. Plus I have a dog, I have kids out, so there's a lot of noise, a lot of smells, probably deterring predators. So it's worked well for me. I think I mentioned earlier in the video that some people have the idea of putting an electric fence around this to really predator-proof it. I think that's a great idea. I think you could do it very easily. But like I said, I haven't made it a priority because I haven't needed it. So for now, it's just going to stay as it is. All right, the last question. I love this one the best. In my first video, if you go back and watch, the question is, did one of my chickens escape during that video? Yes, it did. I had worked on this thing for about 4 months building it, and it just so happened the day I finished it, it was a perfect weather day, kind of like today, and so I was excited to get the chickens in it and try it out and shoot the video and share it. So I did, and right about a minute or minute and a half into that video, one of the chickens showed me that I forgot to close up and secure one of the corners. I had not zip tied and screwed it together, so there was one of the corners wide open, and that chicken just let herself out and free ranged for a little while. So I decided not to reshoot that piece. I left it in there. I thought it was kind of funny. I wanted to see if people would notice it, and so yeah, it's in there. So go back and look. You'll find it. I think it's like 1:15 or 1:30, something like that, into the first video. All right, that is the 6 most asked questions. Hopefully that answers some questions you had. I'm going to move into the garage now and just give a little sneak peek of the changes that I'm about to make on this chicken tractor. Okay, the 2 major upgrades I'm making on this. Number 1, I'm going to use this geared electric motor and a motor driver board and some switches to make my own automatic chicken door. Initially, I think I'm going to make it so it just happens on a certain time. So I'm thinking like 7 a.m. it opens and lets them out, and 8 p.m. or 8:30 it'll close and put them to bed. Eventually I'll probably do something with a light sensor, but for now I'm going to just do it with some switches. The other change, which I've already started to test on this electric wheelchair base, so this is not going to become part of the chicken tractor, but I'm going to use this Arduino to have a couple of different modes so this thing can actually move itself throughout the day. Initially, I think I'm going to have it just one mode where it will just creep forward, maybe like once an hour. It will creep forward 6 feet or something like that. The other idea I'm having is the idea of maybe it just turns, so it just follows in a circle all day long slowly. And the last one would be something a little bit faster where it would creep forward maybe every 10 to 15 minutes for a set number of intervals, and then it will then go backwards so that it will stay within a certain defined space. You know, the idea being if somebody had a yard and they couldn't just have this thing creep forward throughout the day and run into a fence, that mode would work for them. So I've already got it kind of working on this test chair, but I need to perfect the code. I'm kind of learning Arduino code as I go, and then transfer that to the chicken tractor and build my automatic door. So watch out for the next video for those. As always, I really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope you do. Thanks.